So 6 out of 10 people now say they want a referendum. How can we really make that happen?
Well, I think that's why, by starting this initiative, we demand a referendum. Because I think the politicians have failed us. This issue's been going on now 30, 40 years, and all the main political parties have promised a referendum and failed to deliver. And I think people are fed up with being promised things. So what we intend to do is not do the same old politics by promising and then once we get in, go on to our other policies. What we want to do is actually give people the chance in 2014 on that European election ballot paper to put their cross by "We demand a referendum." And as you say, 6 out of 10 people want a referendum in the UK. And we've had another opinion poll that shows 16% of people would definitely support that option. 17% would they probably would, so that's 33%, with 31% don't know. So I think the figures would show that option's a viable option and a way to put pressure on the government and the other party political leaders to call for that referendum in the 2015 general election.
I think one of the things we always think about democracy is people having the right to have their say, people the right to have a voice. But yet, if you are 55 years old or younger, you have never had a say on Europe.
That's right, yes, because the last say that we had on Europe was 1975, and even that was a retrospective referendum, and where the government put out a leaflet days before saying you must support this, it's in our best interests. Well, what we want is a fair referendum with limits on expenditure, equal coverage, and most of all, I'd like seeing something like a royal commission that would actually ascertain the real facts of how a cost-benefit analysis of our membership of the European Union to actually, so when we're in a debate, that it's not the bigoted viewpoints from either side or the scaremongering that we get. I'm very much minded in the late 90s when we were discussing whether we should join the single currency. You had the scaremongering that if we didn't join the single currency, that somehow we would lose jobs and influence. In fact, we didn't join the single currency and we didn't lose jobs or influence. Nissan was used as an example who would leave the UK and they didn't. And they actually invested more.
When we think about our businesses, or I think about it from a business perspective, one of the things that's key for me as a business is to be able to predict the costs of my business, what my costs are going to be, and how I can forecast the future of my business. Now, Europe really takes that away from us, doesn't it? Because we don't understand the cost of Europe, we can't, and we can't really predict what our future looks like.
No, and I think that there's also that bit why a referendum is needed, because there's uncertainty. Because even those who are the most pro-European, and I think in my 3 years here, I've experienced they're unable to work fully or engage fully or promote the UK interests fully because they know they don't have a mandate from the people. So they're always looking at the opinion polls back home. An in or out referendum, and if people chose in that referendum to stay within the European Union, the pro-Europeans would have a mandate and the confidence to actually fight for Britain's interest. We're in a destructive halfway house, which is actually probably ultimately costing us jobs. And, our business cannot be confident because they don't know what the future holds.
Now, the small and medium-sized businesses I speak to in the southwest, one of the real key frustrations for them is the fact that European legislation is strangling their business and preventing them from growing. Is that something you think is true as well throughout the rest of the country?
Absolutely. I mean, I see this. I'm on the employment committee, and the amount of regulations that just get stamped through that committee, it's absolutely awful. And once again, what I hear in my mailbag from small businesses, actually, the FSB at the last European elections had in their manifesto, please, no more legislation, because just the cost of implementing the legislation from here is colossal. And we just simply cannot handle that level of constant interference in our business.
Now, one of the reasons I've really wanted to become involved with this party, the We Demand a Referendum party, has been the fact that it's actually doing something. It's actually achieving something. You've taken 100,000 plus signatures to Parliament. You've achieved the first debate in Parliament because of the signatures that you took. You managed to get 80-something Tory MPs to rebel as a result. When people ask me why not UKIP, is that the difference?
Well, UKIP unfortunately didn't support that initiative. It was a fantastic initiative. It was for the first time in UK history that a popular petition brought Prime Minister to the dispatch box. And UKIP completely refused to support that initiative until the debate was reached, and then they tried to claim the success for it. They've not aided this. My view is that UKIP are a fully fledged political party, and that's fine. You know, if people want to support that, they have views on burqas and flat tax, environment, that's fine. But we don't have any policies. We just have a single issue. It's about a referendum. And I've spoken to many Conservatives and Labour supporters who don't wish to support UKIP. They may agree with a referendum, or may agree with leaving the European Union, but somehow they feel disloyal to their traditional parties, that if they were to support UKIP, even in a European election, that somehow that would aid UKIP to attacking their party in a general election. And they don't wish to do that. So the advantage that we have by promising to stand in a single election, the European elections of 2014, with that on the ballot paper, we demand a referendum, makes us wholly different from what UKIP are offering. And what we're saying, we're open to pro-Europeans. What we're simply saying is, isn't it about time we settled this once and for all and let the people decide? And I think that's the fundamental difference.
And what I notice when I talk to people, constituents in the southwest region, which is where I am, is that they think UKIP are having a voice for them in Europe. They think UKIP are widely represented here. They think UKIP are active in the European Parliament. But that's not the picture I've got. I haven't seen them attending any committee meetings. Their offices appear to be empty here. Yeah. And certainly I believe even on the voting or even on the meeting around the EU budget,
absolutely,
Farage didn't attend.
That's right, that was in Strasbourg a few weeks ago. It was on the about 6.9 proposed increase in the EU budget.
So a critical thing.
It's absolutely critical, and Nigel Farage and his deputy Paul Nuttall signed in to take their expenses that day.
So they took their expenses
they took their money
for the day?
For the day, and they did not turn up for the vote, to vote against the EU budget.
I think that's a very different picture than the people at home are seeing. I think
Absolutely.
People in the UK think UKIP stands for them, but clearly they're taking the money, but we're not seeing much action.
Exactly, and I saw that in the Employment Committee only last week on important votes to do with funding and access to funding for small and medium enterprises. Both Derek Clark and Roger Helmer were not in attendance. And I think that actually just shows what the UKIP are doing. It's all about one man's ego, in my opinion.
Now, we demand a referendum, the We Demand a Referendum Party, 2014, you can go into the ballot box and you can put a cross against We Demand a Referendum, yes. Really important. But in the interim, clearly there's going to be regional road shows, there's going to be a system of campaigning that we're going to have as We Demand a Referendum. What else is there that people can be doing now to show their support for We Demand a Referendum?
Well, what I'm really excited about is this campaign is on the back of that successful petition campaign. In fact, we put a total of 220,000 names into Downing Street. That's a phenomenal amount of people and a phenomenal effort. We've got a huge campaign infrastructure. We are very strong in the southwest, as we are in the West Midlands, and throughout the country also. What people need to be doing is, pledging their support. If they sign one of these pledge cards and pledge that they're going to support in 2014, write letters to their local press, say how important this issue is, and then carry this with them, pass the message on.
And how can people get hold of these? So people in my area say, look, how can we get hold of a pledge card? How can we get in touch? So wedemandareferendum.org is one place to go.
Exactly, and the other one is the free phone number, which is 0800 157 7916, where they'll also get one of these brochures, which gives them also many different tips of what they can actually do to support this campaign.
Now, if people want to support actively, of course, they can become involved, can't they? They can come to your offices, they can help to write the letters, they can help get other people involved.
Yeah, look, we're all in this together. We need to fight for, to have our say. As I said, this issue's been going on far too long, and I just think that now people have had enough of the politicians. They don't trust politicians anymore. It's for the people to demand that referendum. That's why we've called it We Demand the Referendum. We've lost trust in the established politicians.
Now, if you could summarise for people back home what you think the advantages would be if we have this referendum, what's the thing that matters most if they put a cross against We Demand a Referendum? What will they be guaranteed?
I think what they would be guaranteed is sending a very, very strong message to the government and to the leaders of all the main political parties that this is an issue that will not go away, and that if they don't listen to the people, it could cost them dear in a general election. We're in this fortunate position that the European elections are 1 year prior to a general election. So this is the ultimate protest vote. If you believe that we should have a referendum on our membership of the European Union, and as we say, 6 out of 10 people do, well, this is your ultimate protest. It's a way of protesting without hurting your established political party.
And that's something that I've been talking to people about in the Southwest, is it doesn't matter actually if you belong to the Conservative Party or if you're a Lib Dem or any membership or any alliances or affiliations that you have, you can still say we demand a referendum, but still be really in support of your overall party.
Surely this goes beyond party politics. You know, we're talking about the future of our country. Our constitution has been changed by a generation of politicians who have signed up for this without without consulting the people. So that's what we're attempting to do, to settle this once and for all. And the biggest advantage, I believe, by making a decision is that we know which way forward we're moving as a country, either in or outside the European Union. And I think that's benefit for business, for jobs, for our country as a whole. Thank you very much, Kate, for coming to the European Parliament. I'm sure it's been an eye-opener for you.
Yeah, I think being part of the European Parliament for a couple of days has really shown me a few things that I think people back home really should see. The fact that people here aren't working for them, the amount of cost that's involved in running this institution, the ability of this institution to tell us things we don't want to hear. And as small business owners, like I am, I no longer want to have this place saying what I'm going to do and dictating to my business. I think we're quite capable of knowing that for ourselves. I think we demand a referendum. Going to wedemandareferendum.org is really critical. And personally, I'm delighted to be on board for the Southwest region.
It's a pleasure having you on board.
Thank you.
Thank you.